My name is Yvette, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm so glad to be here. I'm truly honored to have been asked to share my story. Um, More than anything, I am just truly thrilled to be alive today and to truly be happy. Um, my sobriety date is June 13th, 2020. Um, One of the things that I think I hope that those of you listening can find some similarities in your stories and mine, and that I can offer you some hope that there's just such a better way in the world. And I've been thrilled to find my journey. Um, so, an interesting thing about my story is that I started drinking when I was fairly young. And I made the decision when I was 15 years old that alcohol was going to be a problem for me. And if I kept drinking the way that I was not going to attain the goals in the life that I really wanted. And so at 15 years old, I decided to quit drinking. And I didn't have a single drink for 7 years. So the rest of high school, all through college. Um, and then I married when I was 22 for the first time. And it turned out that my first husband was a heavy drinker. And so if anything, I hated alcohol. I hated what it did to him. Um, the consequences were horrible. And if anything, even after that 7 years of sobriety, if I did drink at all, it was always very guarded and very minimal, because I knew that it was going to become a complete S show and I was going to have to take care of him. So um, we went on to have two children, and throughout my story, I still really didn't drink. I would say that I didn't really start to drink again until I started going through a divorce. And, I found myself with two little kids and lots of neighbor lady friends that drank all the time. It never seemed like a big thing. It just seemed fun and a way to relax and kind of shake it all off. Um, but for me, that's kind of grew to the point where in public, I really didn't drink very much, like maybe one or two glasses of wine or something. But then when I would go home and put the kids to bed, I usually would drink more. I wouldn't say that it became problematic immediately, but slowly over the next 7+ years, my addiction started to grow. And that grew into a place of daily drinking. And many times that was blackout drinking. So, um, what I found is that once I started drinking, I wanted more. And when I had more, it ended up being more. And I became a person that you wouldn't even recognize. I was very mean, very condescending, just just a nasty person. And it's so similar, in the big book where they talk about the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and that was me for sure. I would wake up the next day with very few memories of my behavior. um, and I had a whole lot of anxiety and shaky hands. I was filled with regret, but come that afternoon, I'd started all over again. Um, Interesting. One of the things about my disease was that I started forming kind of a laundry list of reasons I drank. And there were some big ones. My father had taken his own life. I'd been through 3 miscarriages. When I remarried, my first husband and my current husband did not get along. I had two children that I was raising in that. Then my mother passed. I had legitimate, um, bigger life stressors in my life. Um, but now in recovery, I can look back and I can tell you that the reason I drank is because I'm alcoholic. And what started off where alcohol was really not a problem, it was my solution. It slowly became my only solution. And day after day after day, I could give you a reason as to why I needed to drink that heavily. And if you were me, you'd drink too. I mean, I had the laundry list again of, lay off, let me drink the way I want to drink. So eventually then I went through kind of a series of interventions with family and work. I finally conceded at one point and agreed to go to a local detox. Didn't realize that I was basically signing up for half decent jail. And it was horrible. It was, literally me begging to get out of there by day 3. And I did follow up with an IOP, but I had all kinds of excuses about why I could not commit to a longer treatment. I can't be away from work that long. I can't be away from my kids that long. You name it, I had it. So that first round, then I made it 5 months in sobriety, and I'm so grateful for it because I did it my way. And oh, I'm sorry, let's throw in there that then the pandemic hit. So in the midst of me just trying to figure out how to go to AA meetings and how to sort of understand the lingo and all of what was going on there, everything went virtual, everything shut down. And I stayed strong through it, but I wasn't really working much of a program. And I would get on the Zoom meetings, but I really didn't connect. If anything, I kind of would turn my camera off and be doing something else. But I was really grateful because when grocery stores, liquor stores, you name it, were shut down, I was not in the grips of the physical cravings. I have no idea where my addiction would have taken me as far as how to get a hold of alcohol during that time. And so I made it 5 months. It was when things were just barely starting to open back up, and I was trying to get my work and all the people at work going again and move past some of the fear and all of that sort of thing. And that's when I relapsed. At first I thought, I'm just going to have a drink. That didn't last long. And it moved on. I started making really horrible judgments and error. I'd have, a horrible drinking binge, swear I'd never drink again. 5 days later, I was drinking again, things like that. And so it was after a couple rounds of that I knew that I had to get serious help, and I didn't know how in the world I was going to do that because I did have all of these excuses about why my life couldn't handle me not being there. But I finally had someone say to me, Yvette, you're not a bad person. You're a sick person. And for me, that was the very first time that I was able to surrender and have an acceptance of the extent that what other people were seeing in me. I was willing to take off the mask and not fully disclose what was going on, but to start to open or crack that door for people. And I finally started researching facilities, and I knew from that detox experience that having my family nearby where they could come and visit just was going to be chaos and not helpful. And so someone recommended Pavilion. I live in Colorado, so that seemed awesome. I'm like, great, I can get really long way away from home. So I talked to lots of people. I took my time in deciding, and I did stay sober during those couple days when I was kind of working out my plans. So I remember my husband saying, I don't know if I can take you there. And I said, well, you either take me there or you start planning my funeral. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it's that bad, babe. So he took me, and I jumped in with both feet, and I had no idea how the program was going to work, if it was going to work for me. I was so afraid that I was going to take all that time and money away and then have it not work. What if I drink again? What if I'm the only one that can't get this? But I was at that point, I had just decided that I was done trying it my way. It didn't work. Whatever it took at that point, I was willing to do it. And I think those days of sobriety before I arrived helped me have some clarity to realize that the people at Pavilion have helped thousands of people. And if I could just absorb what they were trying to offer to me, that maybe I had a chance, just the maybe, just a little slim sliver of hope. And so that's really the way that I started my program there. I was very grateful for the lecture about the neurobiology of addiction being early on in my program. Things just started clicking for me understanding like, okay, I'm not a bad person. I get it. Something was really going on for me in a physiologic way. So I was offered the chance then to go to extended care, which I did. And I was so grateful for that. I needed the extra time. I think my family needed the extra time. And so it was wonderful. And I ended up staying at Pavilion for 3 months. And I really, when I left, I told my counselors, whatever it is you tell me to do when I leave here, I am doing, because I feel so good. Shout out to Chef Brian. I was losing weight left and right. I was eating well. I felt great. And so that's what I did. You know, I came home, I slowed my work schedule down. You know, of course, there's consequences to that. I don't make as much money. My family has, you know, reprioritized that they like this me better than the one that was killing myself and making more money. My family supports me so much, and that for that I am forever grateful. Every year we go to a family conference that treats the entire family around my addiction. We talk about everything very openly as a family. And I think, you know, for me, I have a wonderful sponsor. I work the AA program. At this point, I go to about 5 meetings a week, usually during the week, is easier for me than the weekends. But I'm able to sponsor 2 women that are coming up on 1 year of sobriety. And it just absolutely makes my heart sing to see the changes in them. And it really is so beautiful watching. So I think one of the big things that I would say is that the person I am today truly is at peace. I'm very calm. I feel like when I am invited to come to a social engagement, to, you name it, whatever I've been asked to do, I show up differently. I show up in a very calm place of wanting to be helpful if that's what's right, to be a good listener if that's what's right. And none of those things could have been possible if I was still drinking. There were so many things about my character defects that I was sort of helped to figure out when I was at treatment, and since I've been back, that I've been able to kind of switch them, that almost like thought switching idea, and turn those things around into being tools that I can use for the best, for the benefit of both myself and my family. The other thing that I would say has been incredibly helpful for me in my story is prayer. I have a relationship with my higher power today that I never knew existed. I always believed in God, but I didn't really know what that meant or what it looked like. And today I pray every single day. The Serenity Prayer, the Third Step Prayer are my favorites. And then the other, piece is that today I'm not only willing to ask other people for help, but I am willing to ask people to pray for me. And in the past, I just thought that was like hokey, and the, Bible thumpers did that kind of stuff. And I haven't found that to be the case at all. Like, I've found it to be huge value in humbling yourself with people that are really willing to help. So I guess today, I really stand in a place of being grateful for everything, grateful for simple things. I have such a beautiful relationship with my husband now. I have 3 children that are amazing, that have stood by me through this addiction. My husband did quit drinking for me. That was a big piece for us when I came home, that in order to recover, I truly could not have alcohol around me or in my house. I'm so grateful for that. Couple things I think, since I have a little bit of time, that I'll touch on. One is that I have so much more time. When I was drinking, my day pretty much had to like check out and be done by like 5:30 to 6 o'clock. And so, I have all this time now where I'm present, and I have so many cool interests and hobbies. I've learned how to quilt, and it's fascinating. I kind of almost say, like, I don't know that I even truly love the look of a quilt, but I am fascinated by the amount of skill and time that people put into this. And so I do that, and it reminds me of my mom, and I feel so close to my mom when I'm doing that. I'm a really good friend to the friends that I have. And on the friend note, not all my friends are the same friends. I had friends before I went to treatment that are no longer my friends. Or, they've just kind of died a natural death. It's not like we had an out. But there are people that, don't invite me to things anymore, and I've had to make peace with that. I am now, 2.5-ish years into sobriety. I am able to be around alcohol in social situations. I don't feel like I'm going to like scream and run out of the room anymore. And I'm fascinated when people have one beer and maybe don't even finish it. I'm always like, why? Why would you do that? But anyway, my point being that I can be around it today. I don't choose to spend time in spaces where drinking is the main purpose. And the other thing, like, this was a really cool celebration that I had the other day. My husband and I are now leaders for our daughter's Cub Scout, both her den and the larger pack. I didn't know anything about Cub Scouting before. You would not have wanted me there. Um, and I had someone the other day say to me, my 7-year-old son and I made a list of trusted adults, and you're on the list, and it's not a long list. And I almost started crying because I just thought to myself, man, is that some of the promises coming true? And I mean, I can see that as the gift that it is today, for this young person to trust me. And I hope, know as life goes on and gets harder that he could. Sleep. I love sleeping. I had a therapist point out to me that when I was drinking, that although my eyes were closed and I was acting like I was sleeping, I probably hadn't truly slept in 10 years. And I sleep like a baby now. It's amazing. It's like dream sleep. So I'm so grateful for that. What else? I think the other piece for me that I'd like to share is that in the kind of mix of who I am, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and I'm also a dentist. I'm telling you that piece because it lends itself to, as my drinking ticked up, I was probably just hairs away from somebody reporting me. And the shame that I felt about all of that kept me sick for a very long time. And it really was through a professional organization that I was able to really sort of throw up my hands and say, I don't want to lose it all. I need help. And they then encouraged me when I was leaving Pavillon to join a monitoring program. And I am so grateful for that program, which sounds crazy. When I think about when I was at that first detox and it felt like jail, this would be like voluntary signing up for jail sentence, or like as if I'd had a DUI and had to report for various things. But what I've been made to understand is that it's not meant to be punishment. It's meant to hold me accountable. And so every time I check in every single day, and it tells me if I'm going to go and give a urine sample that day or not. And every single day that I do provide that sample, I say a prayer and I thank God for the program, because I know with a clear conscience that I am not trying to keep my addiction alive. I am going in there holding my head high and feeling good about it. And I have taken my kids in when I go to give a sample. My husband supports me. I mean, I am so grateful for that program because it holds me to account. It has stipulations about how much therapy I need, what medications I need, all kinds of things that I never would have expected to be grateful for that. I've had some turnover at the office, not related to my drinking. And I'm to a point now where of the 10 people that I work with, only 2 people know my story. And it's amazing how today I am an anonymous alcoholic within that space. People are proud of me. I'm proud of me. And I just, I have to say, I have such a connection feeling with Pavillon. I am so grateful for everything about it, the beauty of the space, the people that work there, the alumni group, just every single part of it is so ingrained in a really special way for me. So, um, gosh, just thank you so much for asking me to come and spend time with you. I just, the biggest thing I have recognized since my experience in recovery is that those of us in recovery are some of the most courageous people I've ever met. And I'm honored to know the people that I know. I wish that there was some version of a 12-step for the rest of the world because it's just amazing.